Hi everyone, good morning. Martha Ermias here, coming to you live from Columbus, Ohio. How's everybody doing? I apologize today, I'm 3 minutes late from the usual time. Actually, my battery from my tripod was dead and completely out, so it took me some time to set it up again. Hi Tolda, good morning. Lily, good morning, good to see you guys here. Sorry I'm late, 3 minutes late today. How's everybody doing? Exactly 3 minutes late, I apologize. My tripod battery was dead and I had to wait a little bit to actually charge it. Hi Jerry, good morning. Tedros, good morning. How's everybody doing today? I hope you guys are having a great day. Today's Wednesday, we're in the middle of the week. And I hope that your week is going so good. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects. Talk about 5 different things that we can do to recover from big failure. Big failure affects us in so many ways that sometimes it takes time to recover. And what I will be talking about today is some tips that can help you recover once you experience big failure. But before I do that, for those of you who don't know me, again, this is Martha Ermias. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm very passionate about entrepreneurship, personal growth, and contribution. I do this Facebook Lives on success mindset and things that can help us on our daily life every single day, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. For those of you who join me, who watch my channel every single day, I appreciate you. And also I appreciate you guys sharing with other people as well. And I hope everybody's doing great. Hi, Dowie Tom, good to see you here. All right, so let's talk about failure. Okay, there's 2 different kinds of failures. There are failures where we are just a little bit disappointed and doesn't really affect us deeply and we can just move on. But if it is something that we've been working on for a very long time and we've put our best effort and there's expectation that we will succeed and it costs us some emotion or even finances and relationships and things like that, things that we work on and does not succeed, when it fails, the effect could be really deep. Okay, as a lot of times it affects our self-confidence, it affects our self-esteem. Sometimes we question ourselves, sometimes we question our goals or our ability to accomplish those goals, our self-worth. And sometimes, it makes us not want to do it again. If the effect is deep, then all of those can occur. And that's pretty normal. However, there's 3 kinds of people in terms of recovering from failure and succeeding eventually. The first thing is some people never recover from failure. So once they fail at it, that becomes their reality and they never try again, or they never have hopes again that they can succeed in that specific area. So there are people who never recover at all. And there are people that takes them a very long time to recover. Very long time to recover. Sometimes it could be 5 years, 10 years, something, like they keep going on that belief that they failed at it and they can never try, and it takes a very long time. Sometimes it takes about a year for people to recover. Sometimes it could be months. But sometimes, and this is for all successful people, extremely successful people, they recover from failure very quickly. It doesn't even take them a day. A lot of times it takes them hours to recover. And I really want to share with you my own personal experience or my own pattern in terms of recovering from disappointment, from failure. I don't know, for whatever reason, I always gave it, like if it's a big one, I always gave myself a year to recover. And that's like making an appointment to slow down your recovery. And I didn't even realize this until I started studying other successful people, reading books and things like that. Then I reflected on it and I started to question why I think it needs to take me a longer time to recover. It was just for whatever reason. Maybe in the past it probably took me a year to recover from something, so I thought that was my timeline. But I'm dictating my recovery to be really slow by giving it a timeline like that. And I actually heard one of the business leaders in our industry, in the industry that I'm in right now, talk about recovery, and I think that's what really got me to think about my own process to recovery from failure. And I heard him say that if it takes more than 1 hour to recover for a leader, a business leader in our industry, then it means that it was really, really, really bad. Whatever happened was really, really bad. And I was like, oh wow, okay. So one of the things that I understood is that we can quicken or make our recovery really fast, and we can eventually succeed if we know how to bounce back and get back up after failing miserably at one thing. So I wanted to talk about that, and there's 5 tips that I will be sharing with you guys that can help us recover. But the first thing that I really want to say is that many times we think that failure is something that we can avoid, okay? And that is not truth. That's actually a very deceptive thought process. So there's the 5 different things that we're going to talk about today in terms of helping us recover is really what we need to tell ourselves once we've failed at something. You know, right after failure, we need to remind ourselves, we need to tell ourselves these 5 things that I'll be sharing. A lot of times after failure, we keep thinking about, there's so many things that we think. Our thought process is going to be really affected at that time. And we will tell ourselves, we'll have self-talk that's going to keep us in that situation where we've already failed and in that situation for a very long time. But if we really know how to change that thought process and tell ourselves the right things, it's going to take shorter time for us to recover, and which means that we can keep going. So number 1, once you've really failed, you have to tell yourself that failure was bound to happen. Failure was bound to happen. What do I mean by that? Because failure is part of success. Every time, if you're going to continue to succeed, I mean, one level of success you could reach, but if you want to continue to succeed and get to the next level, there's going to be another failure waiting for you in that route. A lot of times people think that road to success is smooth and there's no failure in it, but it's never happened in life. It's not reality. A lot of people succeed in whatever they want to succeed, overcoming failures. Failure is always part of life, and it's going to continue to come. So, but our expectation is that if I'm successful, there shouldn't be failure in my route or in my path. And that's the wrong expectation. And as much as possible, because failure also hurts, failure does hurt, because it's hurtful, a lot of times we try to avoid failure as much as we can. And when we haven't avoided it, then we start to, this self-talk, or our thought process starts to, oh, okay, I must be a failure. Okay, well, it means that this is not for me. Oh, okay, so this doesn't really work for me. But that's really wrong. But whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, if you want to become successful in it, then you are going to face failure. So telling yourself that failure was bound to happen anyways. There's no way I can succeed without overcoming failure. There's going to be some failures in my path. So it was going to happen sooner or later. So telling yourself that will help you recover quicker. And especially if you're someone who had it easy, or, things worked for you for a while, everything was working, everything was good, then you feel like you're invincible. You're like different, you're successful, and you just think that you're someone that will never really fail. And that feeling can definitely happen. It has happened to me. Sometimes things work so easily. It's almost like the universe is aligned to make it work for you, right? But when that happens, you feel like, oh, my success is permanent. You start to feel that way. And then when you face some kind of failure or a big challenge, then you can be really crushed. So feeling invincible is something that you really want to avoid, because you always have to grow, and failure is part of it. You are going to fail. there's a quote that I want to tell you guys. It says, success is measured by how high you bounce when you hit the bottom. It's really beautiful. George Patton said that success is measured by how high you bounce once you hit rock bottom. Once you hit the bottom, like how high do you go up? You know, do you go up to the level that you were, or even higher? That's how you're measured. So every failure is going to be an experience to help you even succeed more. And there's another quote that I really like. It says, make your setback your comeback story. Okay, when you are facing a lot of struggles and failures in life, it's because you're going to have what I call a very juicy story to tell. You know, once you succeed, you're gonna tell a story. Maybe you're gonna write a book, and maybe you're gonna, you know, your story is gonna be really interesting because you have overcome so many obstacles. So any setback that you have, just know that it's gonna be your comeback story. So failure is never permanent. It's bound to happen. Expect it. It will happen. And when you feel that way and you think that way, it will help you recover really quickly from that failure state, from that particular moment. Second is, there will be a second chance. Understanding that there will be a second chance. You know, as we're living life in this earth, there is enough time for us to you know, run into different opportunities to actually accomplish our goals. If it failed in a specific way, then it doesn't mean that it's the end of it. As long as we completely abandoned our goal, or completely abandoned our dream, and completely stop trying, then there's always going to be another opportunity for us to succeed and achieve our goal, because there will be a different opportunity to do what we want to do that's not gonna that will not incorporate the same kind of challenges. So if you failed at something, you're not going to be tested the same way, because you've already been tested in that specific way, and you know how to overcome that specific problem, especially if you learn from it. And that's really what we really want to focus on. If you learn from that specific experience, then that problem is not going to make you fail, because you already know how to overcome it. So the second time around, the second trial is most likely going to allow you to succeed in it. Now, and then again, it's all about trying again, because the opportunity to succeed is always there. Because as long as we have time on this earth, we have the opportunity to succeed by just trying. For example, Thomas Edison, the man who invented the light bulb, electricity, that is used throughout the world, the biggest invention of mankind, he actually tried almost 1,000 times before he actually made it in the end. It's amazing. I don't know how many people can try the same thing 1,000 times, but even if we try 10 times, definitely we're going to succeed eventually. So there's always a second chance to succeed, and always understanding that at the moment when you feel like because of your failure you're really feeling horrible, remember this: there's always a second chance to succeed at it, and that will pull you out of your feeling low and low self-esteem and broken confidence and crushed spirit. It's going to take you out of that when you understand that there's always a second chance to succeed. It's just a matter of trying again, and it's really a reality. Everybody that has made it big and that has succeeded, they've kept trying, they kept learning in the process, and that's how they succeeded. So that's the reality of it. And the third thing is, there might be something to learn. Okay, just looking at the situation and trying to pull what you can learn out of it, that's really going to help you succeed next time. So instead of just feeling miserable because you failed at it, think this thought: maybe there is something that I need to learn from this situation. The reality is, you always want to review your process, what you've done, what contributed to that specific failure. And then you want to do it again, and you just want to keep repeating. But the first things you really want to learn from it. So, ask yourself, did I fail to prepare enough? Or was my attention divided because of other issues? Did I underestimate the obstacles that I might be facing as I'm trying to accomplish this specific thing? What was what contributed to my failure. If your thought process or what your thinking goes that way, then what you will do is you will learn from that specific experience. And not only that, by just asking that question, you're going to feel better, and you will understand that it's just a matter of learning from that experience. So what can I change next time is the thought that you really want to think. This is what you want to tell yourself during that moment. What can I change for next time? So do not let the opportunity to learn pass by because it's painful to reflect. And a lot of times it is really painful to go back and reflect on the process and find out really what it is that contributed to the failure or why it didn't work. You know, you really don't want to relive the process because it's kind of painful, but you will miss out on the opportunity to learn if you don't reflect. So reflecting on the process, learning the lesson from that failure, and moving on is really what's going to help you succeed. Okay, number 4, stop thinking that this should have happened. Stop thinking that, if somebody else succeeded in it and you failed at it, stop thinking that I should have been that person. It should have worked for me. This is how it's supposed to be. So basically when you're doing that, through that failure, you're actually imagining success, okay? You're just imagining that success that you were expecting. You keep playing that in your imagination by just saying, I should have gotten that, I should have been that, this is what it was supposed to happen. You're reliving it. When you're reliving it, it actually keeps you stuck where you are because it's comfortable. You kind of feel good by just reliving the success, right? When you do that, you actually get stuck because you're stuck in the past and you're not moving forward. So that's one thing that you don't want to tell yourself. You don't want to tell yourself what could have been, because success is really not based on what could have been. It's about acting on what you can do. Really, you have to take action by just dreaming and thinking and wondering and wishing and just your thought process. That's not really going to bring success. Success is always produced by our actions. So reliving that moment and really thinking and seeing what could have happened is not going to help. So that's one thing that we want to avoid as well in terms of our thinking. And number 5, you also have to understand that you are more than your failures. You are more than your failures. A lot of times, failure makes you measure your self-worth based on that failure. Basically, you feel like that's who you are. It makes you feel like you're incompetent and you don't have ability. You start to label and categorize yourself as a failure. But you always have to understand that you're not a failure. You just failed at something. Those are two different things. Failing at something is an event. It's a one-time thing. Feeling that you are a failure is a permanent thing. You're thinking of yourself, you're labeling yourself, you're categorizing yourself as someone who is pretty much a loser. When you start to believe that, it's very, very damaging. Understand that you're more than your failures. First of all, when you fail at something, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't succeed in it. It's not a measurement of your potential. It's not a measurement of your capability. At that moment, maybe you didn't have enough skills, but it never takes away your potential. It never touches your potential. Your potential is always there. So you really have to understand that you are more than your failures, and it doesn't really label you. It doesn't say much about you. And I really want to share with you guys something, my personal experience with this and how it has really, really helped me. Back in my college years, there was some events that happened in my life that really slowed me down in terms of getting good grades, okay? This is during my undergrad years. And I graduated with kind of not a good grade, really not a good grade actually. Doesn't really qualify me for graduate school, okay? And I started to feel like I was a failure. Prior to that, in high school, I was really good. My grades were really good. All my life, I knew I was a very good student. But in college, second year of college, stuff happened. And after that, I couldn't pull it through. Even though third year, fourth year, I tried, and I was a science student. So it just, it was kind of too late. I kind of like messed it up a little bit. So, and you can't retake courses in the school where I went. So fixing grades wasn't as easy as it could be here in the US. So So I graduated with grades that weren't really favorable for me to go to graduate school, and I hated the feeling that I was experiencing, especially not because of me, but how my peers viewed me, how my parents felt about me. Okay, well, it was almost like a permanent thing. Like the world was telling me, okay, you're a failure, okay? And I know I'm not. Like I had the potential, I've done it before, I've succeeded before, but I didn't want to believe what the world was telling me. So I wanted to make sure, actually the only reason I went to graduate school is because I want to prove myself. I wanted to prove myself that I'm not a failure, that I could do this again. Okay, so even though my grades weren't good enough for most universities to take me as a graduate student, I still went ahead and started applying. Their requirement, I didn't meet the requirement in terms of my grades, but I made up in other areas, other tests that I needed to take and everything. I worked on it, but I made up in other areas and applied. I just took the faith and applied, and a lot didn't accept me, one did. And once I went there, then I started, I proved to myself that my potential is still there. So I succeeded the second time around, and my grad school grades were really great. So I kind of closed that deal. So I just brought this up so that I can give you an example of the thought process you want to have in terms of when you feel like when you failed at something, it doesn't define who you are. Failure does not define who you are. It only defines what happened at that time. And there's always a second chance to succeed, and you can do it again, but only if you believe that. If you believe that it defines who you are, just like when I was telling you about my story, everybody thought that I was a failure. That's it, right? If I believed that, I could live with that belief forever. Okay, so I am really agreeing with that thought that I am a failure, but I am not. I just failed at something. So hopefully that's helpful to you guys. So always we have to understand that failure is not permanent, and when we fail, and we're gonna fail, we're gonna continue to fail at different things. It's going to happen. It's bound to happen. There's no escape to it, especially if you're trying to do something major. There's actually a quote somebody said that if anyone who's never made a mistake, again, failures come from mistake, never tried anything new. Anyone who's never made a mistake never tried anything new. That's Albert Einstein that said that. So if you're working towards something, if you're trying to accomplish something, you are going to fail. And when you fail, the shortest path to success is to recover as quickly as possible. Recover as quickly as possible. Now, the longest I give myself right now to recover is 1 day. Okay? I hope to recover in 1 hour. I hope to recover in 4 hours, but 1 day is enough, because tomorrow, the next day, is a fresh start. Tomorrow, no baggage from today goes to tomorrow. So if you can't recover out of something, then at least let it be a day. And then the next day is new day, new bright sunshine, new opportunities, new blessings, new lessons, whatever lessons you brought from yesterday, and you can keep moving on. So one thing I really want to encourage you guys is do not be stuck at your failure. Do not let it take 6 months, 7 months, a year, 2 years. Recover from it quickly. Try again. Learn your lesson from whatever it is that you've done and you failed at it. Learn your lesson and move on, and life will be beautiful. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you really did, please give me a like or a thumbs up, or your comments, and please share it with others who you think will benefit from this as well. If you have any questions, please go ahead and interact with me on the comments, or you can send me private messages as well. I appreciate you for being here this morning, and until I see you guys tomorrow, I hope that you have a wonderful Wednesday. God bless you all. Bye-bye.